The piazza at Warwick University has seen some significant events over recent years, with multiple protests held here to call out the university's lack of response to sexual assault. The Reclaim Our Campus protest in 2019 saw hundreds of students march against the return of the perpetrators from the group chat scandal, the infamous exposure of misogynistic and racist messages made in a private online chat between male Warwick students. In November 2020, a first-year student petition to the university saw students gather in the same square to demand better handling of sexual assault. Less than 6 months later, and the piazza was occupied again. First-year students at Warwick began holding a sit-in advocating against sexual assault at the university. The demonstration, organised by Protect Warwick Women, has garnered over 4,861 Instagram followers since its initial protest on March 18th. The pressure on the university has been sustained throughout recent years, making student, local, and even national news. Someone who's particularly familiar with covering these kinds of events is Elliot Mulligan.
Hi, I'm Elliot. I was editor of the Boar 2 years ago when the Warwick group chat scandal first broke. It seems like a long time ago, but also seems very recent in the memory of a lot of Warwick students. I remember vividly being told about the story when it broke in March, and in involving a lot of hard work, a lot of investigation for weeks until we first published it. And when the article went live, it blew up completely, and really changed the way I think, not just at Warwick, but universities across the country dealt with and understood sexual assault and violence on campus, and really brought about a much needed conversation. Then there were a team of us, about 5 or 6 in the office with the article in front, just one click away from publishing it. And we all sort of thought, are we ready? Click publish. And then within minutes, you could see the views on the website just go through the roof. In live time, sort of thousands and thousands of people. And then by the end of that day, it was the only thing people on campus were talking about. By the end of the week, it had reached all the national newspapers, the BBC, and sort of the nation's press descended on campus. So yeah, a crazy time, but it's a much needed conversation. And it was really good to get something so important in, give it the light of day it deserved. The conversation we really wanted to have was how it's affected these people and what we can do to solve it.
In response to the group chat scandal, Warwick University adopted Report and Support, an online tool for students to anonymously report harassment and get in touch with an advisor. Gemma McCall, who designed Report and Support, explained her intent in setting up the system.
When we initially worked with the University of Manchester to initially create the first report and support system, the whole reason that we did it was to remove barriers to reporting. There was a huge issue between the prevalence, which was kind of shown in the NUS hidden marks survey, which was, that 70% of female students experienced sexual harassment or violence during their time at university, but then less than 2% would report it. And at the time that we started this work, we found that it was actually really difficult to make a report. So, in some cases, a survivor would have to walk into an office and actually say the words that they had experienced something terrible. And that in itself, saying the words out loud, is a huge barrier to reporting. So we wanted to create a system that made it very easy and untraumatic as it possibly can be to tell someone that something had happened to you and access support for that, to help you through that experience. So we wanted to get as many reports as possible, which is why we incorporated the anonymous reporting side of things, because we also know that people fear identifying themselves for many reasons. The reasons that we regularly find is that people don't want to be seen as a troublemaker, don't want to be, they fear that they won't be believed, and they worry that the situation isn't serious enough to make a report. We remain completely committed to removing barriers of reporting so that it makes it easier for victim survivors to report and access support when they need it. I would say that most of the time, the current use of report and support in higher education does help to meet our aims for the system, in that having it in place removes barriers for people reporting, because they're able to report something at a time and a place where they feel safe to do so, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So we are definitely giving students and staff access to a platform for them to reach out for support if they need it. I think there are many universities who could do loads more to understand what the trends are, and take a really proactive and preventative approach to tackling those trends. And I also feel that institutions should be more transparent, which will continue to remove those barriers for reporting.
Many new students arriving at Warwick this year were unaware of the system and felt that the university didn't have clear enough signposting to the new measures put in place. One such student was Laila Ahmed.
Hello, my name's Laila. I'm a 19-year-old fresher at the University of Warwick, and I got involved in the sexual assault movement in my first term. So the way that I got involved was I wrote a letter to the SU, and I actually launched a petition to raise awareness and kind of start a conversation and a bridge between the students and the SU about the really big issue of sexual assault and rape culture in our society and also at the university. Because in my first term alone, I was hearing so many incidences of girls and friends that I knew that were experiencing that, but also seeing it all the time on social media. It really made me feel scared, because I was a first year. I didn't really know how to deal with anything like that because it hadn't really come to my attention before. But also the university hadn't really made any sort of effort to signpost where the wellbeing services were and how you could help in those situations. So it's really important that there's more time and effort invested into students' mental health, but also on tackling sexual assault on campuses, not only at Warwick but across the UK. And I think what my petition, the impact, really shows is that, you know, there's been about, I think, 61,700 signatures and counting, and that really does show the impact, because it's not just a Warwick issue, it's an issue which happens all across the country in schools and universities alike. And what Warwick should really be doing is actually prioritising it and making sure that they are pledging to their students that they are taking this seriously and that they're, you know, providing a zero tolerance on it, but also equipping us with the tools and knowledge to deal with these kind of situations and understand how to prevent them, but also what to do in that situation.
Months later, more students felt that these changes at Warwick were still not enough and began a sit-in. The university released a statement in regards to the sit-in.
Everyone has the right to feel safe and supported at Warwick, and our policy on sexual misconduct is clear. It will not be tolerated. However, we know there is more we can do to support our community and to tackle sexual misconduct. That's why we are committed to working together in partnership with our student community to listen to concerns and identify and implement improvements. We welcome the ideas put forward by the students who have been protesting this week in the piazza and have held constructive discussions with them on the range of concerns they have raised. There are many areas where we are in broad agreement and where improvements were already in progress or implemented, but there are others where they have rightly challenged us to do more, such as engaging more widely on the training we develop and enhancing the physical safety off campus. We have invited them to work with us through the Student Advisory Group to continue to tackle these issues together. Feedback from our community is vital to help us understand experiences, develop services, and make improvements. And we encourage people to keep sharing their thoughts, views, and concerns with us. We do this through regular student surveys, weekly student focus groups, and working with the SU. We will be exploring more ways for students to share their experiences and views with us. We take this issue extremely seriously and invest £2.6 million each year to continuously improve our wellbeing provision, representing £90 per student. We strongly encourage anyone who has experienced sexual misconduct or any other form of harassment, or who knows someone who has, to access support through the university's online disclosure platform, Report and Support.
While that won't be enough for some students, many will also seek to ask what the university can do to prevent sexual assault from occurring on campus. Tasha Hardaker is aiming to answer that question. She is the president of It Happens Here Warwick, a student society that provides support to sexual assault survivors.
My name's Tasha. I am the president of It Happens Here. It Happens Here has been around for about a year now. We started last March. What we aim to do is provide support, basically just try and support as many students as we can on campus. Something which we've discussed with the uni is implementing consent and active bystander training and Freshers Week through departments. There's like a whole variety of different things that the university should be doing. Education is one that I said, but also having a better investigation process, having a better support structure for survivors. Obviously, It Happens Here plays a massive part into that. But one thing that I've realised this year from being part of It Happens Here is like the lack of cohesion between different bodies at the university. And what I mean by that is like welfare, report and support, the head of discipline, It Happens Here, now all of these different activist groups like Protect Warwick Women, they're all separate. And obviously we have one common aim, which is to help survivors of sexual assault, but we're all kept separate. And I think if there was a way to kind of centralise the help that students could get, and kind of advertise it all as one, and then students could think, okay, I want to go to Report and Support, or actually I want to go to It Happens Here, or stuff like that, then I think we'd be able to help a lot more people. And I think it's really easy to criticise the university, but no one is willing to criticise themselves. I'm sure there's been multiple occasions where we've seen something happening but haven't wanted to get involved out of our own fear, which is completely understandable.
Students currently remain searching for greater provisions and awareness of sexual assault at the university. The sit-in on campus lasted 11 weeks, with the final 3 days seeing Protect Warwick Women moving their occupation from the piazza to University House, the administrative heart of the institution. The group have since reached an agreement with the university via mediation, stating that a mutually acceptable conclusion to their protest has been reached. With the end to one of the most sustained exertions of pressure on the university coming to a close, many wait in anticipation as to what changes will occur, and if it will do enough to make students feel safe on campus after years of concern.